Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm taking a look at a movie that came off of the Amazon.com wish list. This movie is a British sci-fi film from 2010. The movie is called Monsters. And quite literally, as of about, up maybe until like a few minutes ago, that was all I fucking knew about this movie. All right, a lot of you guys were asking me to cover it. You were asking me to either download it or find it on Netflix or throw it on the wish list. Pretty obvious, I threw it on the wish list because I didn't know that the damn thing was on Netflix. I checked a few days ago, and yes, it is on Netflix. But I never saw a trailer. I never saw an ad. I am going into this sucker even more blind than most of my other episodes. The only thing I did was just a moment ago I read the description on the back here, and I'm going to tell you, this doesn't sound very promising. Now, mind you, it might turn out to be really good, but what they have written on the back here, the thing which is supposed to sell you on the movie, sounds so bland and just so cliche that I'm not sure if it can pull itself up from that. But there's only one way to see if this movie can, in fact, pull itself out of that dark cloying void of that I got off the back there. And that is if I shut the fuck up and I press play on the DVD. And that's exactly what I'm about to do. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Monsters. Alright guys, I understand it's way early in the movie for me to be asking this, but when the fuck is something interesting going to happen here? So far, guys, we had, like, one of the opening scenes was a bunch of soldiers being attacked by some of the aliens in this pseudo version of District 9. And that scene's camera work was so fucking shaky that it literally makes Cloverfield look as if it were shot with a Steadicam. And that's all we've had for interesting shit, is really shaky bullshit involving some ugly-looking creature fighting off soldiers. That's it. The rest of this is just two assholes trying to get to the border within 48 hours. And I haven't been given a reason to give a shit yet. Alright guys, we are now over half an hour into this movie. I can tell you two things. Number one, this film has some of the worst pacing I've seen in a long time. We have gone now, well, as I stated, over half an hour. Nothing has fucking happened yet that could be in any way considered interesting, good, or even in any way exceptionally relevant to the plot. Number two, our two leads have all of the on-screen charisma of two dead mice. I'm really hoping for this movie to improve, but I have a strong doubt that that isn't going to be happening. Okay, I believe I figured it out now. This entire movie is just one big, like, way of trying to talk about how the border between the U.S. and Mexico is fucking pointless. I believe that's what they're trying to imply. At least that is what this current conversation is kind of leaning towards. And if that is the case, you could have probably done a much better job than making a painfully boring, quote-unquote, sci-fi film to try to get that message across. You know, you could have made a drama, maybe something better. But no. They wanted to try to put, some kind of a stupid, half-baked political message into their supposedly science fiction film, which so far has had maybe all of 30 seconds of sci-fi goodness about it. Oh, God damn it. I really want something to happen. I would love to see a creature. I would love to give a shit about some of the characters in this movie. I would love it if the story was moving at faster than a fucking glacial pace. Oh, God. But I'm gonna press on. I have to. Hold on a fucking second here. This guy was bitching because they didn't give him a gas mask earlier. He finds a recently deceased soldier who has a gas mask, but instead he steals the soldier's he loots the soldier's camera instead of taking the gas mask. What sense does that fucking make? I totally understand that, oh wait, now he goes after the gas mask. Yeah, dude, it's really, really good to see that you have your fucking like, priorities straight. Yeah, you want to steal his camera before you steal his gas mask. Alright, folks, this movie's almost done. I just want to say this right now. Please, for the love of fuck, give me something. Give me something to care about. Give me a character I can give a shit about. Give me some tension. Give me something. God damn it, I haven't been this bored in fucking ages watching a goddamn movie. That's fucking pathetic. Oh, thank the good heavenly gods above it's done. Shut that bullshit off. Okay, guys. That was Monsters. Holy fuck, that was Monsters. Alright. Before I get started here, there are a couple of blurbs on the DVD cover here I want to touch on, because I noticed these while I was watching the movie, and I needed to speak on them. The first one is the one that's right up here on the front cover, and it's from the Austin Chronicle. The Austin Chronicle says, about Monsters, the best monster movie of the millennium. I have a little message for all the people who work over at the Austin Chronicle. First, I want to give you guys this, and then I'm going to tell you all to go watch District 9, and then come back and tell me that this fucking steaming turd is the best monster movie made in the fucking millennium. Okay? Okay? Are we all good now? Awesome! Next one is from twitchfilm.com. They have two different statements here, and I'm going to touch on both of them. First one is a remarkable achievement. That's it. Sure. This is probably a remarkable achievement, if by that you mean horribly paced, poorly written mediocrity. But I'm not going to dwell on that too much. The other part of this is Monsters is not your average alien invasion movie. That much is very, very true. This is not your average alien invasion movie, because even your average alien invasion movie is at least somewhat entertaining and somewhat fucking engaging. I've had more fun watching grass grow than watch this son of a bitch, because it was boring. It was plotting, the pacing was absolute shit. The acting sucked, but I'm gonna get into all of that over the next few minutes. Let's start with writing, shall we? I've talked about pacing a lot in this series. Why? Because apparently a lot of filmmakers don't know what it means to properly pace out your movie. And before I get started with this, I want to tell you guys a story about the making of one of my favorite comedies, and that is Mallrats. When Kevin Smith first wrote Mallrats, and when he first filmed it, in his very first cut of the film, it took damn near 40 minutes for the two main characters to get to the mall. And the studio looked at that and said, are you fucking nuts? The movie is called Mallrats. We want them in the mall. And we want them in the mall fucking yesterday. So, a 40-minute intro was whittled down to about, I believe it was about 10 minutes. By basically cutting out a really stupid subplot. Monsters did not take that lesson from Mallrats. Takes them over 40 minutes to get into the infected zone. Over 40 minutes of a 93-minute movie is spent with our two main characters going on a sightseeing tour of Mexico that does literally jack shit to help further along the story. They could have cut about 20 minutes of that out, if not more, and this movie would have had better pacing just off of that alone. I'm not even going to dwell on the fact that when they finally get into the motherfucking zone, they do pretty much nothing. This movie has literally nothing happening for 93 goddamn minutes. But you know what? I don't care. I want this movie to stand as a testament to how not to make a film, specifically in terms of your pacing. If you happen to be working on a movie and you feel that it has the same kind of pacing as this thing, or anything even close to the absolute glacial pacing this goddamn movie has, scrap your entire fucking film or find a goddamn editor who can fix it. This thing, I think, was honestly beyond help, so I honestly can't even tell them that they should have gone, they should have found a goddamn editor. I'm curious exactly who in the hell edited this thing. I wonder if that's on the back here. Director of photography, executive producers, editor. Oh, good. So the editor was not the same person who wrote this, directed it, and was also the director of photography. No, it was a totally separate person who edited this goddamn film, so there is no fucking excuse for the pacing to be this bad. Unless, of course, the director demanded final cut, at which point actually having an editor there is rendered absolutely moot. But I'm not going to get in on that. No. I'm just going to tell you guys, the pacing in this movie is absolute shit, and the pacing all by itself is going to destroy any good this movie may have had. Now, beyond that, though, every single character is ridiculously flat and lifeless, and the dialogue absolutely sucks. So there really is nothing here in terms of writing that I could see as good. I mean, outside of the premise might have been good if it were handed to a decent writer, but no. Instead, we get this fucking get this fucking jack off who's probably never written a film before this in his life, and God fucking willing, he never will again. So yeah, we have that going for us here in terms of writing. And of course, to go with the lifeless fucking dialogue, we have a screen couple who, as I stated earlier, has all the on-screen charisma of a pair of dead mice. I am not kidding when I say that. When these two lifeless fucking mannequins have to share a scene together, they both seriously come off as if they're genuinely not comfortable with the other person. Which is something that you should have fixed in casting. You should maybe have found a couple of people who can actually work well together on camera and who do not look as if they are both equally fucking repulsed by the other. But that is what we are dealt here. Is we are dealt a pair of actors who have the worst chemistry in the history of film. Guys, for everyone who talked about how Hayden fucking Christensen and what's her face in the Star Wars prequels came off completely lifeless. They had more on-screen charisma than the two fucking dickheads in this fucking movie. That should tell you a lot. When Star Wars Episode 2 is able to better you in terms of on-screen chemistry. Oh, joy. So, we have that. Of course, the acting from everybody else is also complete shit, and our two stars also turn in an absolutely wooden fucking showing, probably because almost all of their scenes are shared with each other, and as I stated, they both seemed ridiculously uncomfortable working with the other. Which means that at the very end, when the two of them finally notice that they have so much in common, and then they have that big kiss at the end, yeah, spoiler, these two finally kiss, and they're kind of sort of a couple. It is the most awkward kiss I have ever seen committed to film, because I don't think that either one of them wanted to even make physical contact with the other, much less kiss. And of course that ultimately leads to nothing, because the fucking credits begin rolling about 5 seconds after the kiss happens. So, yippee, it was kind of sort of a wasted, pointless, stupid ending. But yeah, and the acting from everybody else is no fucking better. Literally, everybody in this film is turning in a poorly done, wooden, god-awful showing, and most of that's probably because the script which was given has some of the most amateurishly stupid dialogue I've ever fucking read. While I'm on the writing, there is a scene where our couple are traveling towards the border, and their fucking escorts are there with them. And then they have this talk about just how pointless that fucking giant wall the U.S. has built on the Mexico border is, and they just sort of talk about how it is completely pointless, and just sort of how everything is going to get through anyway at some point, because, well, that is just the nature of things. Basically, guys, it is a message about the U.S. about the U.S. immigration policy with Mexico. And the message is so blunt that it makes any message seen in an episode of Captain Planet seem fucking subtle. That is not good fucking writing, and I'll tell you why. Because the messages from Captain Planet were meant to hammer in messages into the minds of stupid children. When your film is even blunter, with an even stupider message, what does that say about your movie? It means that basically this movie is only good for trying to educate idiotic children on the filmmakers' feelings towards the U.S. border policy. Yahoo! And by the way, guys, that actually is the deepest bit of writing in this entire film, is this entire talk about the U.S. border with Mexico. Fuck this movie, okay? Now, I like to say right now that perhaps maybe I was going into this with the wrong mindset. I mean, after all, when you have on the back here something which claims that this is an alien invasion film, you kind of expect one of two things. You either expect a movie where the aliens show up and they're somehow helpful and that they want to try to help out fucking, humanity, or you have the polar opposite where the aliens show up and they just want to royally fuck over everything in sight. We don't get that here. No, instead we have alien fungus, alien, crabs that are only about yay fucking big and are like crawling along on the beach, and a giant glowing octopus from space who meets up with another glowing giant octopus from space. That's really it. Oh, and then there's the few other few giant aliens who may also be giant, who may also be giant fucking, octopi from space. I don't know, because you never really get a good look at them. Similar, basically, to how you never really get a good look at the Cloverfield monster until the very end, and then you're horribly disappointed when you see it. Well, same thing here. I was kind of sort of expecting something which looked big and ominous and frightening, and it was an octopus lifted directly from the fucking Nature Channel. Yippee. Okay. Guys, there's no... Oh, wait, and before I continue... Camera work is okay, and the sound is fine, and the lighting is good. At least all of the technical aspects are done well. Of course, that doesn't really mean anything, because no one gives a flying fuck about any of that bullshit. So, in the end, can I recommend Monsters? No. I cannot even recommend it to you as a fucking curiosity. This movie is absolute bullshit, and frankly, I feel sorry for having wasted the 93 minutes on it, except for the fact that it probably made for a pretty good reaction and review. I wouldn't know, because I am my own worst fucking critic. So, before I go, I do have to mention again, Monsters came off of the Amazon.com wish list. The person who sent it in is named Christian, and Christian wants me to promote a website, and that website, I actually have to write it down. I had to write it down here, is newdanceradio.eu. So yeah, guys, by all means, swing over there, check it out. I'm not entirely certain what's over there. I haven't had a chance to look at it, myself. I'll probably check it out once I'm done filming here. But Christian, I would like to thank you, because when people were first requesting this to me, I had no idea what the hell I was getting into. I had no idea if this movie was going to be good. I didn't know if it was going to be bad. I didn't even know what the hell the plot was until, as I stated a while back, when I first popped in the movie, I read the back like a minute before I started filming. That was really my first and only exposure to the plot, and sadly the movie was not able to overcome the rather bland and samey write-up which was on the back. But I still thank you for sending it in, because otherwise I would probably never have watched it, and I wouldn't have known if the goddamn thing was any fucking good. So, yeah, I am happy that I finally had a chance to watch it, but I'm also kind of disappointed that it sucked this fucking badly. So yeah, guys, I'm going to have to go and do something just to kind of mellow out, because goddamn it, this movie's just pushed me over the fucking edge. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, that is the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.